Vincent,
Yeah,
you've just gotten off the TED stage.
yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel relieved. I mean, it's like before the stage, it looks like I was carrying this heavy weight, like I was
Yes.
carrying a heavy backpack. So just after having spoken and given my talk, there's a lot of relief. And yeah, I'm
Amazing. So for
happy.
context,
Yeah,
you were the TED Idea Search winner from Nigeria.
yeah,
Which, we also wanted, like TEDxLondon was also one of the TED Idea Search cities.
yeah,
So I know how much work
yeah.
has gone into this, like the preparation for that talk, now the
Oh, you
preparation
tell
for
me.
this talk. It's huge. So I can absolutely
Yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah,
So let me just tell people a little bit about you. You're the founder of Energy Transition Africa.
yeah,
You focus on human potential. You are the head of the Resource Justice Network in Africa.
yeah,
And you gave an incredible talk about energy, electricity,
yeah.
the transition.
yeah,
I mean, you can't see this, people, but my page is covered in notes because it was so interesting. You had this line where you said, "We don't need just an energy transition. We need a repair transition."
absolutely.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Tell us more.
Yeah, Africa has 600 million people without electricity.
Okay.
And so lots of organization, incredible work is going on in deploying capital
Yeah.
to ensure that these 600 million people now have electricity.
Yeah.
And there are, like, the World Bank and Africa Development Bank are trying to electrify 300 million Africans,
Yeah.
and they are pulling capital, about $50 billion US for that. But the big problem that even the World Bank itself acknowledges is
Yeah.
that they have a deficit of the human infrastructure needed, people to repair, people to maintain. So, and that's something I've discovered also, that it's not enough to install, because most of these infrastructure are designed outside of the continent. So if you design something in Europe, you're not used to dust and electricity and sunlight
Yeah.
that is high. So our solar equipment are blowing up faster than what's happening in Europe and in the US and other places. So what I'm saying by that statement is that we need to think about who is going to maintain this infrastructure. Otherwise, the people you've electrified are going to go back into darkness.
Okay, I want to break each of these things down because really, when you were speaking, this is not something I had thought about.
Yeah.
This is not something I heard about.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you talking about it, but I want to break it down.
Yeah.
So the first thing you're saying is that the equipment that is made in other parts of the world, when it comes to Africa, because of the physical conditions, so like the angle of the sun or...
Yeah, so Africa has 60% of solar resources that the world needs globally. We've got 60% of the best sunlight. We've got more months of sunlight than rain. And sunlight, I mean, there are countries where you don't even need to boil a potato, you can put it under the sun and you walk in. And then
I come from one of the opposite countries.
Yeah, you're right. So now, for us now, when you design these inverters and batteries, they're supposed to be at a certain percentage in terms of the amount of heat that they can withstand. So we're seeing that they're going bad quicker. We've got a lot of places where the roads are not tarred, so lots of dust. That also impacts the health of these facilities.
Okay.
But then, when you deploy them and you electrify and there's a light bulb on and you go as a contractor or as a donor, you've taken pictures and done photo ops and you've left. 1 year later, that thing that you've given us is going to go bad. And then there's nobody around who can maintain them. That's the biggest problem.
When did you realize this problem? Like, how did you see this? Like, what was your aha moment?
Okay, so I work for Resource Justice Network. Like, it's a global coalition in 50 countries, and Africa has the highest number of those coalitions. We're in 30 countries in Africa, and I head the work in Africa. So I happen to travel a lot across the continent, and also because most of our members are community-based organizations, so I get to interact with them on the ground. And I began to see these challenges. And I also, having been someone who face energy poverty from school. I mean, I went to school, like I told you in my story, went to school and was using candles. I did architecture. So imagine using candles, right? It's not something, I mean, at night, you're drawing with candles. You're
Wow.
racing against the flame of a candle to be able to meet up with your deadlines of the drawings.
Wow.
Now, I overcame that. And I also live in a city where we lived in this year alone, the whole national grid has collapsed 4 times. Four
Wow.
times the whole country went dark for 24 hours.
Wow.
So
That's serious.
That's serious. So what we do now is you either use generators that are going to be powered by diesel and petrol. That's a huge economy on its own. Or those of us who can afford it are using solars. In my own house, right, I've got inverter and got batteries. I also noticed something, that my inverter at the peak of sunlight is not lasting. Why? Why should I mean, it's solar. So sunlight, the seasons where we have more sun is when my inverters are breaking down more.
Yeah.
Because the heat is too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the period where we don't have more sun, where we're not even able to generate a lot of power, is when the power I have is lasting more. So it's in reverse, right?
Right.
So that became a problem. And I started paying attention to start finding out what's going on. And our partner, an organization in Nigeria, was tracking the effectiveness of government intervention, because governments like the World Bank are also saying, okay, we want more people to have electricity.
Yes.
And we began tracking. We went to 4 states. I don't know how it is in the UK, but like in Canada, they call them provinces. Yeah. So we went to like 4 provinces, right? And this is government delivering solar equipment, both electricity and also water project, like irrigation equipment that are powered by solar. The communities want it. They appreciate it. But 2 years after that project were given to them and handed to them, like 4 in 10.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, and the total money when we converted it from our local currency was $6 million US. That's a lot of money going to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things I loved about your talk was that the solution is not complicated, right?
Yeah, very simple.
It's very. Tell us about what's your vision for this?
Yeah. So one of the things that I also discovered was Africa, and this is documented, right? Africa is run 90% by informal economy, right? So we've got more people who are doing all this stuff, and if we want to work with them, we need to be able to build the capacities of these electricians and mechanics and so on, who are already keeping generators and fixing electricity, just reskilling them to be ready for the deployment of solar. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
And what am I doing about it? Energy Transition Africa was built to provide that knowledge and human infrastructure gap that I've seen.
Yeah.
And we also identified a gap with the professionals. And this is not just about an issue of skilling up illiterate, right? Or people who are not educated, but it's about graduates. Engineering graduates are being trained for the fossil fuel industry, and yet we want to shift from fossil fuel energy to renewable energy.
Yeah.
So I did a survey months back across 6 universities with engineering graduate final year students, 300 level, 400 level students who are doing electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, water engineering, petroleum engineering.
Yeah.
And 60% of them did say in their own surveys that they've not been taught about renewable energy, and all they knew about renewable energy was from TikTok and social media.
Right.
So that's a gap I'm also trying to cover.
What's interesting to me is that when I listen to you, what I realize is there's kind of like a short-termism in the thinking of the interventions. It's like all we're thinking of is like we need to get it there and get it on the ground. Yeah. But then actually, if you don't do the maintenance of it,
you've not solved the problem.
You've not solved the problem.
Yeah.
What do you, if you could like wave a magic wand, what are the key interventions that need to happen for this to not actually be a problem? Like, obviously you talked about the retraining, but I'm just thinking like, is it that you want like when these projects are being deployed, that part of that deployment is
skills,
is this kind of thinking about when they
think about it from the very beginning. So when I say retraining, because it's already happening and people are not
Sure,
doing it.
people are being trained.
But the solution is you bring a comprehensive package in.
Okay.
Don't just come sell products.
Okay.
And drop them.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah.
And say, and take pictures and say, we've electrified 1,000 people.
Yeah.
The 1,000 people, those equipments are going to go bad.
It's for how long?
Yeah, yeah. So what you want to do is, as you're dropping them in the community, think about the sustainability of them and say, as we are doing this, let everyone in this community able to fix, let them know what the faults are, let them know how to diagnose the faults, and let them know what to do when this kind of signs go back. It's like having signs in a building to say, if there's an emergency, move this way, call 911, do this. Why are you not doing it for solar, for the people you're giving?
What I hear from you is that we need to be thinking about sustainability.
Absolutely, it's about it.
Because it feels like right now it's just the same way of thinking in the extractive model, which is just like sell stuff, put stuff there, do that stuff, and then forget about it.
Yeah.
And actually, when you're truly thinking about sustainable, you're not just thinking about the panels, but you're thinking about their lifespan as well, and that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So what it does, it's even you're solving the energy problem, you're solving a skills problem, and you're solving poverty problem.
Yeah.
Because when you teach them how to do it, most of these people would also be earning by going to repair for other people.
Yes.
And that way they are building income, and then they are becoming more productive to the government and not causing other issues. So it's what we need to think about.
Have you started to implement any of this?
Yeah, so what I've started with Energy Transition Africa is to build a platform. First to prepare it to be able to receive a cohort for professionals like the university graduates who are there, because they are like a smaller number, right? This other one about the informal economy and repair requires resources, which I don't have. I'm at the founding stage.
Yes.
The platform is at the founding stage of this work. So we are at the stage where we're looking for someone who believes in what we're doing and say, we want to come in as advisory, or we want to support you to build with institutional funding to drive this stage of work that we're doing.
And do you see this as being a place where you can see true private-public partnership?
Absolutely. I mean, because a lot of the large-scale deployment that is going to be done is not something that the private individual is going to roll out alone. Yeah. So the World Bank is an institution. Africa Development Bank is an institution, and they are mobilizing this heavy capital, working with governments in each of these countries, the ministries of energy, rural electrification, ministries of power in the various organizations. But the program they're still doing it wrong, because they are in a hurry to meet up with 2030 deadline. Right. They just want to electrify. Yeah. But I say that we need to pause. It's important to electrify people, but it's also important to ensure that you're solving a problem and not making them, leaving them in 2-3 years to go back to where they were before, because you will not go back to check whether they still have that electricity.
And I wonder if psychologically, if people get the solar, it breaks, they go back to diesel. Yeah, they're less likely to go back to solar in the future. They don't trust it.
Interesting. I was speaking with someone. We're talking about irrigation. I mean, Africa has, again, the highest population of farmers, and most of these farmers are small-scale farmers. And so when you give them, so the problem that we have on the ground in terms of food security is that we farm seasonally. Yeah. So we can only farm maybe 3 months in a year for the rainy season, what you call maybe spring. I don't know how it works. So during the rainy season you farm, and then you have to wait another 9 months of not farming.
Oh, wow.
So to solve that problem, he said, okay, we're going to give you irrigation pumps so that you can pump water maybe from wells or from streams or rivers and use it to water your gardens. So that way you're farming all year round. But then you give them solar pumps. And the solar pumps, when they were designed and tested in clean water. You know that the water in Europe, the farms are clean, but then these guys are farming in conditions where the water is muddy.
Yes.
So when one sand enters into the pump, they blow up.
Yeah.
Or maybe a cable is exposed, it blows up, and they pack it, and they go back to poverty. Yeah. And nobody goes back to check. That pump is it still working? And we found out it's not working and they're abandoning it.
I mean, what you're saying, the other thing it highlights to me very clearly is this is what happens when you build things without the real collaboration of the people.
And thinking about what that and again, that's correct. And also that when you're doing it, think about sustainability and think about total empowerment of the person. Because what we are saying is extraction in different forms. You take our resources, you go out, you're just deploying and think you've solved the problem, but then the person is not empowered to do it. And you think, I can't spend, it's going to take me weeks or months to train them. How does that profit me as an individual? But you've got to also think about giving back. A lot of this resource, funny thing is, even though it's not related to the talk, is all the resources for solar have been taken off the continent. Africa has 30% of the critical minerals required. In one country, DRC, holds 90% of all the cobalt required globally. They hold it. One single country. Everybody's taking out, and nobody's adding value.
And yet it still remains one of the poorest countries in the world.
That's where the world's highest conflict rates, some of the highest poverty. People are mining for $100 in a month. How does someone survive?
One of the most valuable things in the world.
One of the most valuable things in the world is also causing some of the highest poverty rates in the world because nobody wants to invest in building the capacity of people on the ground or even empowering them.
Vincent, I'm so grateful to you for highlighting this. I think this is one of those things that is like a blind spot. I really hope that when your talk comes out, people hear it, they see it, and they think about how they can actually, with a very simple intervention, increase the effectiveness of what they're doing multiple fold. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful for you and for this opportunity, the platform, and I can't wait for the podcast to be released. And I know that hopefully someone was going to listen would say, hey, how do we get in contact with Vincent? How do we support this?
How do we get in contact with you? Tell us. Do you have what?
Yeah, I'm available. I'm available on LinkedIn as Vincent Egoro. I'm available on all social media platforms as Vincent Egoro. So if you just Google Vincent, you're going to see me there. It's going to pop up.
Wonderful. I recommend you do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us this week. We really hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you did, please hit the follow button to make sure that you get next week's release. While you're at it, please leave a rating and a review.
Now, let's shout out to our fabulous team behind the pod.
Executive produced by Josie Coulter.
Produced by Ben Beheshti.
Music also by Ben Beheshti.
Communications by Tara Cooper and Izzy Gladstone.
Curation by Disha Chandra.
Hosted by Ben Hurst.
And Maryam Pasha.
And remember,
stay curious.